So the question a lot of you guys probably have, are Specialized bikes still worth it in the year 2025? Oh yeah! I think I like this more than the Stunt Jumper 15. What's up you guys, Mo Awesome from Awesome MTB. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to a little bit of a different video today. In today's video, we're gonna be talking about and breaking down the Specialized Enduro. And no, this isn't the new Enduro. This is actually the same Enduro that was released in 2020. And in fact, this bike is actually used as well. Our friends at Cycle Limited asked us to take a look at their site and see if there's any bike that caught my eye. Last year I had a chance to review the Stunt Jumper 15 in carbon. I really did love my time on that bike. And then I ended up reviewing the alloy version. And after seeing that the alloy version could actually accommodate mechanical drivetrain where the carbon could not. The carbon Stunt Jumper 15 was wireless only. I thought the alloy version was significantly better bang for buck, and I loved my time on that bike. And you know, we also see your guys' comments, and a lot of riders are hesitant about the Genie rear shock. The 2020 Specialized Enduro, when it first was released, shocked the market because it was something that all riders were asking. You can clearly tell with that Enduro that the Specialized product team listened to what riders wanted, and they created a bike that was going to be way ahead of its time. Fast forward to now, I do think that there are some things on newer bikes that might not be necessarily what riders are asking for. I think it's clear that there are a lot of riders that might just want a standard rear shock. People still do love mechanical drivetrains. And in terms of geo, I actually think that Specialized was way ahead of the curve on the 2020 Enduro. And I actually think that these numbers were perfect. And I would actually say that I actually walked away from this test preferring the 2020 Enduro over the new 2025 Stunt Jumper 15. Like I said, there is no better time to be a mountain biker because we're at a point of mountain biking where I feel like geo has come so far that the new changes and model updates to bikes are less so geo focused. I'm sure the new Enduro is going to be amazing, but I was blown away at my time on the 2020 Enduro. So before we continue ranting about that, let's talk about what this bike is. So once again, this is an extra large Specialized Enduro, and this did come from Cycle Limited's website, so this is a pre-owned bike. Now this is the S-Works model, so it's going to be a top-of-the-line carbon frame. Up front we have a RockShop Zeb with 170 millimeters of travel, and in the rear we have an Avalanche coil rear shock, once again with 170 millimeters of rear travel. We have a 1x12 Shimano XT drivetrain. Up front we have NV M7 carbon handlebars with an Industry 9 A35 stem. We have Shimano XT brakes, a PNW Components dropper post lever, a 1-up dropper post on there with an SDG saddle. And for wheels, we have Industry 9 Enduro S wheels with an Industry 9 Hydra rear hub. And for tires, we have Vittoria Mazda tires front and rear. And once again, you guys, this is a used bike and it did come from Cycle Limited, and we have to give a huge thank you to them for sponsoring today's video. Cycle Limited is your go-to online retailer for both brand new and certified pre-owned bikes and gear, all at unbeatable prices. They work directly with the manufacturers to offer the best deals on top-tier road, MTB, gravel, and e-bikes, plus parts and accessories. Once again, their site is filled with amazing deals both on brand new and certified pre-owned e-bikes, and every pre-owned e-bike is professionally inspected, tuned, and ready to ride. They also are able to get direct manufacturer pricing, so there is no middle person. Just great deals like these carbon race face cranks or GX transmission cranks, which are insane steals right now. Once again, you guys, I found this pre-owned Specialized Enduro on their website at an insane deal. It was shipped within the same day and it came very well packaged. I had it built up in no time and I was blown away seeing how much care they put into packing their bike, as well as how easy it was assembled, and the bike was exactly how the listing showed it. In addition to fast and secure shipping, they also offer hassle-free returns, and international shipping is coming soon. They have a rad bike quiz finder on their website as well, and it's an awesome way to narrow down their huge selection of available bikes to figure out what works for you and your price point. Cycle Limited also owns every bike they sell, ensuring top-tier quality and a worry-free buying experience. Once again, you guys, we can't recommend Cycle Limited enough. On their website right now, there are some insane deals, and we'll go ahead and link them in the description of this video. Like I said, they have some of the best deals on components, frames, used bikes, new bikes, and this bike came in such great shape that oftentimes I forgot it was a used bike, so huge shout out to Cycle Limited. We'll link them in the description of this video. And now let's get on the trails to show you guys how the Specialized Enduro rides. Hey guys, we're officially on the trails on the 2020 Specialized Enduro. Once again, Specialized released this bike in 2020, 5 years ago. Nothing has changed from the current in terms of geo. And honestly, I actually think a lot of riders are probably gonna prefer the 2020 Specialized Enduro over whatever they release next. I do feel like this Enduro, when it first came out, was insane for them, and I think it shows. The fact that they were able not to touch it for 5 years. The product team clearly listened to the people and what they want. We have the ability to run mechanical drivetrains. There's no Genie rear shock on here, and on top of that, you just have a very good no-nonsense enduro bike. And I think a lot of people over the years have been stoked on this. Start going downhill. This thing is an absolute monster. Once again, you guys, I feel like this is a classic bike in the book of mountain biking. And I think in 2025, there's no better time to be a mountain biker because you have insane deals on bikes like this. As you guys can tell, the Enduro through the chunk just feels so planted. I mean, you can tell the geo on this, perfect at the high-speed chunk. And honestly, once again, almost too easy. We make our way into the up and over. Okay, we got no issues whatsoever. And once again, the mechanical drivetrain, quick to respond, unlike transmission. As more and more frames head into the wireless only direction, I think there's gonna be a lot of riders that appreciate these older bikes that you can actually run mechanical. Once again, I feel like the product team listened to the people on this, and hopefully they listen on the new Enduro. Another impressive thing for the Enduro is how comfortable of a climber it is. The Geo feels so comfortable when you're seated in the saddle, and actually it feels fairly efficient. I have to give Specialized credit where credit's due. They were way ahead of times when it came time to Geo, because once again, in the year 2025, this bike just feels so dialed Geo numbers. And I think we are getting to that point in mountain biking where you have to start wondering, what is the next thing that companies are gonna be able to do? We got some high-speed action on Lynx Trail. Once again, you guys, the stability, about a 63.9 degree head angle from the Enduro, and that 170 millimeters of Specialized travel. So smooth through the chunk. Such a planted feel, and like I said, it still has a good pop in and out of corners. And one thing I really do appreciate about the Enduro, man, it just makes you feel that much more confident. And anytime you feel more confident out on the trails, you just have funner rides, like through this chunk section. So stable, that bottom bracket, not too low, not too high. Absolutely loving it. I don't understand how Specialized was so beyond their time. This feels very modern, and I would actually say, like I said, this is the exact Geo that I want for my Enduro bike. All right, now we're headed down stair steps, a very chunky trail, had to on the Enduro. You know, the comment sections are probably gonna be filled with questions about what do I like more, the Enduro or the brand new Stump Jumper 15? And I actually think I prefer the Enduro from 2020 over the brand new Stumpy 15. I just feel like this thing has such a freaking good, confident feel to it in the chunk. And I'm absolutely loving the stability, as you guys can tell, so quick. But I actually think in terms of overall efficiency, it actually isn't that far off of the Stumpy. I think the Stumpy maybe just a little bit more nimble from the rear end, but I'm digging this freaking Enduro. And on top of that, like I said, you guys, doesn't come stock with a Genie Shock, which I think a lot of people out there, I do like the Genie Shock, but I have heard a lot of riders would prefer it without it. And man, God, that Enduro is so good in and out of corners. You guys can tell I'm having a freaking blast on this thing. All right, guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed that shred on the Specialized Enduro. Once again, you guys, I've absolutely been loving my time on this bike. And in fact, I actually think I prefer it over the Stump Jumper 15. Obviously, with 170 millimeters of travel front and rear and that 64-degree head angle, this thing is going to be a ripper, but it was truly apparent, especially at high-speed sections. It almost felt like the faster I went, the more comfortable the bike got, and time again, I was blown away at just how composed it felt, even though I was going some of the fastest speeds I've gone down some of these test sections. I ride these trails all the time, and it was crazy how comfortable I felt on the Specialized Enduro. Once again, it goes back to Specialized definitely being ahead of the curve in 2020, and I do think in the year 2025, the Geo numbers of this bike still are competitive with some current Enduro bikes, and I absolutely loved how this thing felt downhill. Another thing I absolutely loved about this bike was how the suspension felt. I definitely thought that the bike had a very plush feeling, but I was also blown away at just how playful 170 millimeters of travel felt in and out of corners. Obviously, in terms of the wheelbase, it's definitely a bigger bike, a little bit on the longer side, so it definitely had a kind of let's go straight mentality. However, it still had a good pop out of the corners, which was very appreciated. I was definitely blown away. Once again, 170 millimeter Enduro bike, and I still felt like it still had a somewhat playful element, even though it was so composed in the tech. I also think in terms of looks, it's definitely one of the better looking enduro bikes on the market. Once again, you guys, Specialized definitely was ahead of the curve with this bike. Now, some of you guys might like internal frame storage on these newer models. Well, guess what? The 2020 Enduro does have internal frame storage. Specialized was pretty much the first to do internal frame storage and really make it a thing on their bikes. And yes, the 2020 Enduro does have internal frame storage. So the question a lot of you guys probably have, are Specialized bikes still worth it in the year 2025? And I would actually say yes, especially the Enduro. Once again, you guys, I actually think I prefer the 2020 Enduro over the 2025 Stumpjumper 15. Now, a few things are adding to that. The first thing is going to be the Geo. I absolutely love the Geo numbers on this Enduro. I think it actually is somewhat similar to the new Stumpjumper 15. However, you get a little bit more travel on this, a little bit more of a planted feeling. And I absolutely love how stable this felt while still staying somewhat similar to that Stumpy in terms of responsiveness out on the trails. But on top of that, once again, you guys, no Genie rear shock, the ability to run mechanical drivetrains on here, and the deals on this thing are absolutely insane. So when I'm comparing this to that Stumpjumper 15, if you can save a ton of money with the previous Enduro, Specialized was definitely ahead of the curve with this Enduro, and it clearly shows. I think that's why they haven't updated the Enduro in so long. And I would say in terms of Geo, that Geo is still somewhat future-proofed. I actually think this is a perfect option for so many riders out there in the year 2025. And I would actually say if I was currently in the market for an Enduro bike and I had an option of going with that S-Works Enduro that's on the website and a brand new Specialized Stumpjumper 15 with transmission, I would probably go with the Specialized Enduro. Number one, I love the Geo on the Enduro. Number two, it does have the ability to run mechanical drivetrain if I ever want to resell it down the road. And number three, that one actually has SRAM AXS over transmission. And similar to my talking points where I do think the bike industry needs to listen more to the consumers, I love the old SRAM AXS. I thought there was nothing wrong with it. I thought it was quicker than the current transmission. And once again, that older SRAM AXS, I was the biggest advocate of, and it's becoming harder and harder to find. So the fact that that has the older SRAM AXS and the fact that this Enduro also has the ability to run mechanical drivetrains on there, I think this is going to be a strong option for so many riders out there, and you're going to save a ton of money in the process as well. So with that being said, it's very impressive at how future-proof Specialized made the 2020 Enduro. I think this is still an amazing consideration for an Enduro bike in the year 2025. And I think Cycle Limited has some insane deals on their website, so be sure to check them out, and a huge thank you to them for sponsoring and making this video possible. Hopefully you guys found this video informative. Let us know in the comment section if you guys have any questions. We're always trying to answer them. And until next time, you guys, ride awesome.